Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second video talking about Magic the Gathering lore. Today, we are talking about the set Arabian Nights, which released in December of 1993. Arabian Nights follows up Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited, and it's still when Magic is trying to figure out its setting and its time period and everything. By the looks of it, this is still when they believed that Magic the Gathering was just going to be an exploration of the real world and its fantasy themes and settings and mythologies, which is why Arabian Nights, just like the name, seems to be a Magic the Gathering spin on the book 1001 Arabian Nights, which is why we have characters like Aladdin in Arabian Nights, and why we but I do call into question why we see Arabian Nights with Aladdin releasing exactly, well, roughly 1 year after Disney's Aladdin. Am I saying that Magic the Gathering ripped off Aladdin? No, I'm not saying that Magic the Gathering ripped off Disney's Aladdin. These are clearly two very different characters, and it's kind of up in the air. They may have gotten inspiration to do this, but again, these are open source characters. Magic the Gathering can pull these characters from 1001 Arabian Nights because it's within the public domain. Very clear, very contextual. This is not a legal issue at all. But you can still see the real world influences in things like these flavor texts on King Suleiman and Piety, where we literally have flavor texts that come from the Quran. Am I saying that it's a problem? No, not at all. I'm just pointing out that this is literally quotations from a real world source. The same thing happens with literal quotations from 1001 Arabian Nights, which on these are literally translated as the Arabian Nights, on cards like Alibaba, Bird Maiden, and Repentant Blacksmith. Later on, Magic the Gathering will retcon this to where this does not exist on Earth, but then it calls into question these cards like Bazaar of Baghdad and Library of Alexandria. Baghdad is a real city even today. It is a city it's in Iraq. Bazaar of Baghdad is talking about a real city that has existed for over a millennium that exists in Iraq today, while Library of Alexandria is talking about the fabled Library of Alexandria. Well, not fabled, it literally existed in Egypt along the northern coast. These two cards talk about it. Is it possible that Baghdad and Alexandria exists in a plane called Araba in Magic the Gathering? Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, it kind of calls into question how this is going on and what's going on here. Because Baghdad and Alexandria really existed. And literally the only explanation I can come up with is that Magic the Gathering is trying to do some world tour talking about the different beliefs of different cultures around the world, which I give them mad props for. There is one issue that I have found that I take with one of the cards that happened in this set just because of that massive, small overhaul of cards earlier that included cards like Crusade, Jihad, Stone Throwing Devils, Paresh Gypsies, and Persecution, I believe was the last one. The only problem I have at the moment is with Moorish cavalry, because it's literally a term that was given to the Berbers of North Africa by Europeans and later used to refer to all the peoples of the Arabian Peninsula and people who were Islamic in general. This isn't a name that people gave themselves. This was a name given by Europeans to these groups. So if we want to remove that type of thing, we also need to remove this. But on the bright side, Arabian Nights also gives us the most complicated card piece in Magic, which is Shahrazad. if you don't know how Shahrazad works, then you need to read this card and try and explain it to me, because I don't really understand how it works either. I know it has to do with starting subgames within subgames within subgames. And I know this is a lore channel, and I'm not supposed to be talking about, card mechanics, but Shahrazad is just an interesting card. And if you want to know more about the lore for 1001 Arabian Nights, go buy the book, go rent the book, go to your library, find somewhere that you can get a hold of the book, read the book. It'll explain 1001 Arabian Nights, the different characters within it, like Aladdin and Alibaba and and what was that card? Abu Jafar, all these different characters. It will explain these cards and their story. Unfortunately, none of them are legendary because they all happened to exist before the legend rule existed. But that's 1001 Arabian Nights, or as Magic the Gathering called it, Arabian Nights, which now, according to Retcon, takes place on the plane of Rabba, and there's not much else going on with it. But yeah, that's it for this one. We'll meet again to talk about antiquities. It'll probably take a little bit longer to create the antiquities antiquities presentation, because, well, antiquities is a large set. It is also a set that starts our introduction to Urza and Mishra as we uncover the ancient artifacts used in the Brothers' War. So we'll talk about that next time. Have a good one.